This is a public service announcement about the coronavirus. In the coming months, many of you will be very focused on washing your hands before you do anything. I have a warning for anyone who is using antibacterial soap. Stop using it. Let me explain why. Several years ago, my doctor at the VA hospital did blood work on me and diagnosed me with hypothyroidism. He told me the thyroid affects my metabolism and that it should be producing more hormone than what it was. I asked him what would cause this, and he said it was pretty typical for people as they get older to produce less of it, but that mine had fallen below the standard level. He prescribed levothyroxine to me, which is hormone replacement therapy. At the time, I didn't even bother questioning why I should take it. I was feeling lethargic as it was, and I thought maybe this would give me a much needed boost of energy. So I took it for over a year without question. Did I ever notice a benefit from it? No. I eventually came back to him. I had developed bad rashes on my hands, and I thought it might be a side effect of the medication. He looked at my hands and asked me if I used antibacterial soap. I said yes, I had been using antibacterial soap my entire life, for everything. He told me that my skin was allergic to it and I needed to stop. I told him I was afraid of getting sick if I did. He told me there was nothing wrong with having bacteria on the skin and that some bacteria was actually necessary. So per his instructions, I stopped using antibacterial soap, but continued the levothyroxine medication. That same year, the FDA came out with a warning about antibacterial soap. They said that their conclusions about it from decades ago were wrong, and that the active ingredient could actually do more harm to your body than good. They presented a list of side effects. The one that caught my eye was a suppressed thyroid. I didn't say anything to my doctor immediately because I felt it unlikely that a chemical which would be absorbed through the skin while washing my hands was unlikely to be in sufficient quantities to trigger a diagnosis of hypothyroidism. Besides, medical doctors hate it when their patients self-diagnose. However, a few months after the FDA gave this notice, I started to experience rapid weight loss. I went from 140 pounds to 125 in a period of 2 weeks. At 125 pounds, I can feel my bones. At less than 120, I start to feel anorexic, so I was reaching panic mode. During this time, I was eating as much fatty fast food as I could afford in an attempt to keep the weight on. It wasn't helping. So I finally looked up the side effects for levothyroxine. One of them, surprise, surprise, was excessive weight loss. I stopped taking the medication immediately. I didn't return to my doctor right away because it would still be considered self-diagnosing. I wanted to see if I could gain the weight back without the medication. 7 months later, I had had enough and went back. I hadn't regained any of the weight and my hands had gotten even worse. I had a new doctor this time, a young female. She decided that I had enough correlating evidence of my conclusions that new blood work was warranted. As for my hands, she diagnosed me with eczema. As it turns out, antibacterial soap dries your skin out by default, and eczema only makes it worse. The new blood work confirmed my worst fear. The antibacterial soap had been suppressing my thyroid. Despite being off levothyroxine for over half a year, my thyroid was on fire. I was just barely within the acceptable range of hormone output, and because I was within the range, she couldn't prescribe me medication to reverse it either. That news was over 18 months ago. Since then, I have to eat at least 2 meals a day that are high in carbs and fat. If I don't, I lose a pound a day. A pound a day. It's practically guaranteed. I can be sitting down all day and it won't matter. And to make matters worse, because I'm already so thin, I don't really have much of an appetite either. Believe it or not, I weighed 175 pounds at one point, so I know the appetite of a fat person. No matter how much I gorged myself, it was never enough. That's not the case here. I have thought about building muscle, but it's a catch-22. New muscle weighs more than fat, yet also burns more calories than fat. I actually have thought about using antibacterial soap again in an attempt to slow my metabolism back down, but at this point I am terrified to touch the stuff. So let that be a warning for any of you who consider hormone replacement therapy for anything. Unless you have a damn good reason for it, don't do it. Anyway, in terms of my eczema, I will explain how to deal with that in another video. Now here's the real meat of this video. What main benefit did I get from not using antibacterial soap? The answer? A boosted immune system. My old doctor was right about one thing. There is bacteria on your hands that is necessary for living. Before I stopped using antibacterial soap, I would get colds about every 3 months like clockwork all my life. Every time I got one, I would think back and realize that it had been about 3 months since the last one. As you can imagine, it was often during the changing of the seasons. After I stopped using antibacterial soap, my colds went from less frequent to non-existent. I caught a seasonal flu in September of 2018 while at a birthday party. It was about 2 months before I usually received my annual shot at the VA hospital. Nearly everyone else at the party got it as well. However, once I recovered, I have not been sick since. I can only imagine that a boosted immune system is to thank for that. Now granted that because of my military service, I have been given almost every form of safe vaccine known to mankind. I even received cowpox in Kuwait during the Iraq War in the event that Saddam Hussein might use smallpox against us. Regardless, since I recovered from the flu in September of 2018, I have not had a cold since, or any other illness. I'd say that's a pretty significant difference. One last thing before I go. A solution to dealing with my eczema that might prevent infection from the coronavirus too. Vinyl gloves. These are much safer for my hands than any soap or even hand sanitizer, and when used for activities such as eating and doing laundry, the cost of using them up is about the same as buying hand soap in bulk. They sell these in boxes of 50 pairs, 2 boxes together on Amazon.com. I will provide you with the link below. My apologies if they are sold out right now. Understand that neither Amazon nor Care Plus are paying me to promote these. I am doing this in the hope that it might help you. For a size reference, at my height of 5 foot 7 inches, medium fits perfectly. So here you go. That's how I deal with my eczema. Might help for the coronavirus too. So enjoy.